Trouble's what you're in. Trouble you're in that dress that's as black as my heart on this train. Trouble's what you're in. Trouble you're with those lips that's as red as the blood in my veins. Trouble, you know where. Trouble, soft target. Trouble's what you're in. Trouble, yeah, 'cause it's a long way to London Bridge and them heels, babe. Trouble's what you're in. Trouble, yeah.
Today, I'm probably do a blog post about a young man. I'm calling later on. I'm gonna get like a dryer. Accompany that because that's not sufficient for cleaning, and I don't wanna leave my apartment. Like I said before, I was doing some reps. Like somebody punched me on the side, so you know something spiritual was happening. With that being said, early this morning, I was shown by my depleted higher self that timeline. And that's the most depressing thing. She got Cenobites all around. She also got a black card from the Illuminati, which they rarely give to people. Kanye West, his soul swap self, Adele, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, where everybody knows motherfucking clone. They got it. With that being said, I saw in my body, she got Cenobites surrounding it to keep me from getting in. And from what I understand, she made a deal. This is how they appear in my timelines. I've been sounding and I'm aware of it because my consciousness is fucked up. I saw on the spirit plane that Maria Tavares, she removed my soul consciousness a couple of days ago, the entire thing. Has been trying to kill me off and my spiritual protection off as much as possible so I won't get back in that timeline, that August the 22nd, 2022 timeline where I got soul swapped. But to make a long story short, I saw the predicament with my father. I had some of the Egyptian gods overseeing them. There's other entities, the Galactic Federation, that can do something about the Illuminati. You can contact, everything, runs in tandem with aliens when it comes down to it. But anyways, they made a deal with the Illuminati with my brother Christian being the sacrifice. Where from what I understand, Prince Andrew here, you can concentrate on the picture. Through my brother over a boat. And the way the deal was manifested was I think she wanted to seek spiritual protection to be able to stay in my body, or offer me up at, I kept hearing he catered, just like with Zendaya in that timeline. I was showing she mad and tranquil. As an incarnated God, offer me up. I'm trying to remember. My consciousness is so fucked up that it's hard for me to articulate. It's kind of like, here with my mother. Her cognitive abilities started to go down. When I asked her about how my brother Kristen is doing, she was like, "Who is Kristen?" I knew she wasn't in her body going back to that timeline. You could hear her normal voice versus how she sounded afterwards. Sorry about that call dropped. But I swear I just saw him.
Well, I'm almost home now, baby, so I'm going to talk to you maybe tomorrow or the day after. Yeah?
All right. Take care, Mama.
All right, honey. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, Raven.
Hey, Mom. How are you?
Trying to take a nap. I have to go to work tonight.
Oh, okay. How you been?
I've been okay. How you been?
I've been all right. Trying to find another band, so.
Yep. That's life.
Yeah.
That's why people work, and that's why you have to pay bills, and that's why squares like being your daddy still work.
Right. Hold on. Let me go ahead and. With that being said, I think it has something to do. I know it's something. I think it's something to do with a sacrifice, something, because you got to exchange something. But it was to offer me up as some type of sacrifice in that timeline. That timeline is real, and it's heartbreaking seeing what's going on. And I've been trying to get into it. 808 Hertz can help you get back. That motherfucker's real. I had that entity here. Entity attachments to make me hate. I was getting a lot of help in the spirit plane from Mexicans and all of that around my area. My dad, he's from, in his past life, he's from Zacatecas. And that was the entity, I'll never forget, that kept blocking me from getting back into my body. I remember the day I saw it through my third eye and everything, and I physically felt it. The day after I got taken out, I remember feeling something while I was, chilling, drinking in the park next to the manor. Which is a homeless shelter. Something slapped the timelines of another person. I felt ancestral timelines, which is usually on your back. I felt Destrehan, Louisiana. And it's funny, right before all of this, I actually had an astro vision of people from Destrehan, Louisiana. I believe in me or externally, her timelines. I know they start in Radio City Music Hall. I also got a Chaffalai Bay. And I think her name is Ashley Terrell or Renee Wellinger, or you can use 694, 695 hertz. I don't, like I say with that, Maria Tavares is all about keeping me disconnected from that body and from them timelines. But I'll never forget the day in which the next day, it felt like I was in a box. You can use 156 hertz to, free people from spirit jars. I went to my usual store, and the guy, very, very rational, very, very level-headed. He ain't superstitious. He ain't spiritual. He's an Indian man. Say to me, point blank, I got a call from you, through static, which is a sign of a ghost asking for help. And I said, I never made a call. I don't even know the phone number for your place, man. So, I mean, something happened on that date. I'm no longer in my body. I know that for a fact. I saw it written on my soul consciousness, you know, carrying that. I mean, I know that's not true for their reality. Taking out their bodies, carry versus drug addiction and all of that. But anyways, when I was getting ready to get rid of that entity, he started placing entity attachments to make me hate Mexicans. I learned a lot about what's happening with this, and I plan on doing a video about the ICE raids in the future. But I was getting a lot of help from Santa Muerte, but, things done changed with this whole Maria Tavares. It's a totally different ball game, and I see the instability of it. That's why I wrote this article. That's something scary to be covered by. You don't want that. That's something scary. And at one point I heard in that timeline she got extricated from the spirit plane and could no longer cover those people. But I got caught into, Nick Nanny shit. I mean, what's going on with Maria Tavares. That's some sinister shit, but it's real shit. But I've had third-party confirmations to confirm that shit is real. I got word from my God self, my father, who they keep trying to extricate and weaken. That I kept playing. I'm going to say this right now. 125 hertz. I say it's going back to May the 1st, 2024. I keep hearing, something about what they call it. I saw the Grim Reaper. In my cell phone, I keep hearing her highest self, whose name I think is Maria Blanco. I know she keeps, getting under Santa Muertes to avoid, giving me my shit back, Terra Nova or something, Terra Novera, Munez. I know God has authority over her, but the Egyptian gods are the real ones who got authority over them, and the Illuminati. And it goes a lot deeper, but I'm not going to drop docs just now. But with that, now I'm being made to forget shit because I got this bitch all in my energy body. With that being said, I remember seeing white superimposed on people's faces. I saw that a couple of days ago. She keeps bringing me close to the brink of death, killing entity attachments that, fuck up the dream state to some degree. I'm going to say something right now. Early this morning, I had a dream about that place I keep proselytizing about called Geetas downtown. And I think this is one of the places, but I believe it's one of the fucking, look like a theater. One of them buildings downtown that's next to the LA, Planet Fitness I used to venture to, but I'm going to get another 25-pound dumbbell next month. And I had a sister who was describing it to me through email a long time ago, but with reptilians, where they take people in the astral plane, clones, real people and all of that, and they torture them. And I was about to get set up for that. And to let me know I was out of body, when they tried to, pull me into that reality, and wake me up from the dream within the dream, quote unquote, it felt like my leg was way over there, meaning I'm not in my body, in the spirit plane. Maria Tavares keeps taking me out of my spirit and astral body, which is scary and dangerous. With that being said, she minted some deal. This Ashley Terrell, I got a Dejan. I wish I could know her real name. And I know the real name of the demiurge, but I'm almost ready to drop it. He did something where if I mention something on, tape or something about him, he was going to disguise my parents. If I keep mentioning that girl, bringing up that girl, he was going to disguise where he got my parents hidden in the spirit plane. And we all know the demiurge, whose real name I think is Yoda Bale, is an ignorant motherfucker. Like Bobby Hemmett would say back in the day, he got the head of a lion, body of a dragon. One of the demiurges, you got Saint Zenu, Quetzalcoatl, the god of source, light. Saint Roots, I'm not sure. That's why they call it chaos magic, from what I've seen and been shown. You got, I'm trying to think of the names of some of these. You got the god of source. It's something else. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come back to me. But with that being said, she minted some deal with them to keep me from getting back. There was something else I wanted to mention as an aside, spiritually, about the different gods and goddesses, but I don't want to ruminate too much on that. I was made to forget, but it was something important, but anyways, they made a deal. By the way, Geetas also exists in the physical plane. I believe, that place I'm showing y'all, I heard it's Geetas. I don't believe that shit. But I think it's that theater place that looks abandoned. That's right by the Planet Fitness downtown that I used to go to, 45 Broadway Street, I believe. There was a lot more that I wanted to remember. I was playing 125 hertz. Heard I was freeing a lot of people from Santa Muerte's hell realm, and them motherfuckers got pissed off. I don't give a fuck. I was trying to get my parents back, and I'll help them people out too. I don't like that whole sacrifice shit. Put people in the hell realm for a hot minute, take them out. If they did something wrong, you just shouldn't be woke, pushed up to whatchamacallit things. Now, with that being said, getting back to that timeline, from what I understand, she has a black card. Not many people have a black card. And Lil Wayne, who from what I understand, violates my body, because that bitch, I heard the Illuminati plan on doing some, where if the body starts, because it is decaying, because she ain't supposed to be in it, they plan on cloning it, giving her a clone and putting her in the clone. With that being said, they're already setting it up to where I can't get back and all those, and trying to energy pilfer off of me too. I'm going to say this right now. I remember one night Santa Muerte was protecting me like a motherfucker from that. When she was fighting him and she was doing her best, and she had a lot of her followers. She ain't never dealt with anything like that with the Illuminati, but they were using my bafflement against me. You know, going back again to 1991, I used to have astral visions of me and a bunch of kids backstage meeting with Jay-Z. Mind you, he didn't blow up with Big Pimpin' until 1997. And I felt like it was about rape, but turns out it was the rapist about blessings. And I got the shortest end of the stick with the soul swab, never getting anywhere materially, but there was something I wanted to mention about the Illuminati. It was something. Hopefully it comes back to me. Very evil motherfuckers. You know, at them Geetas places, what they do is, in the physical, everything you saw in that film Hostel, that's the reason why the director for Hostel, Eli Roth, say that that's actually based on real events, but he made it out like it was Thailand. With that being said, from what I understand, Lil Wayne violates every night by making her lick the pussies of girlfriends he picks up and all that to debase her. And from what I understand, he's a direct descendant of the Demiurge. You know, the ignorant god who is still under the Egyptian gods and even more. You got the tall whites, you got the reptilians, you got the tall redheads, the Galactic Federation that keeps order. You know, it's really aliens. You know, all this shit was posited on us by aliens. The Egyptian, you know, quote unquote gods were actually aliens to keep order, New World Order, in our universe and over us, because, you know, we still aren't deemed fit to, because we're creations after all, deemed to, you know, rule ourselves. Even though, as Alex Collier said, we're alien royalty, who's a UFO contactee.
Why so much attention to planet Earth? Why us? We're this little speck on the outskirts of the galaxy. Just this little solar system. Well, galactic and intergalactic travel has existed in our universe for 4.4 billion years. Now I'm dealing with linear time, because that's the only way I know how to put it. Many of the extraterrestrial groups that were leaving from their respective star systems, when they would pass through our sector of our galaxy, they would always stop here on Earth. Why? It's beautiful. It's got an abundance of water, which is very rare in our galaxy. It has vegetation and life forms unlike most other places. And not only that, it was far enough away that they could literally do anything they wanted, and nobody would say anything. It was like a retreat. And they would fly through here, stay 50 years, which is, if you live a lifespan of several thousand years, it's just a weekend. You know, even though it's 50 years to us, it's almost a lifetime. And they would just play God. Genetically alter this, genetically alter that. They would pick up other life forms as they were exploring. They would drop them off and see if they would evolve here, if they could exist. They tinkered. They did all kinds of things. Now, ETs don't value gold and silver or diamonds. They're not into that. What they're into are genetics. That's their valuables. Life forms. And we're now moving in that direction ourselves, our scientists. Okay. Well, what's happened is, according to the Andromedans, us, Terrans, Earth human beings, the physical forms that we now have ourselves, is a direct result of the genetic manipulation of at least 22 different races, extraterrestrial races, who tinkered with us. This is why we have approximately 22 different body types on the planet. Now, when I'm talking about body types, different physical and genetic and chemical structural makeups on the planet. There are 22. This is why we have so many different races that have different physical features. Now, because of this manipulation, what's happened is that we, as a planetary race, have become this, like Heinz 57. We have inside of us the genetic as well as racial memories of at least 22 different extraterrestrial races. Which means that we can physically bond or give birth or create with almost any specific species out there, with exception of the greys. Well, actually, to some degree we can with the greys, and the insectoid races. We can't mate with them. But we can with almost any other form, including reptilian. Just a few alterations in our DNA, and it's done. We're the only ones. Now, this is also the only planet in our galaxy where you have so many different races together. Now what's happened, and I'll give the example of Andromeda. The Andromedans are a human race, but they have been so pure, so clean in their DNA, in their genetic melding with the same race, that they are now starting to see signs of genetic breakup. In other words, the line is starting to show some genetic weakness. The Pleiadians will experience this in 1 million years. They will start to see it. The Greys are already experiencing it. And there are other races as well, primarily human races, where this is happening, where the genetic material is starting to break down because of so much interbreeding within the same race, the same family. Follow me so far? There's only one race that can add this genetic boost, the new genetic material, to help them, and it's us. But they can't use our DNA, they can't use our physical structures because of our consciousness. We vibrate at such a low level. They can't use it. Plus, they just can't come down here and steal it like the Greys did, because it's a violation of free will. Which is the number one law. Do not violate free will. Number two, do not interfere or intervene with an evolving race unless you are asked. Of course, we have been. We have been for the last 5,000 years. Majorly manipulated as a planetary race. So, this is why there's so much attention here. Now, the negative forces, and I include the world government in this, are doing everything they can to keep us down, to keep us negative, to keep us divided, warring with each other, all of that. They're doing an excellent job. The benevolent ones, however, want us to come together as a race. They want us to move into an unconditional love or an unconditional responsibility space. But they have to do it in such a way that we think it's our idea, because they can't violate our free will. Does everybody follow that so far? So, it's a hell of a situation. It's really complicated. I wish I could say it's black and white, and there it is, but it isn't. It's a very complicated thing. Now, because of the Grey intervention, and because our government, basically the secret government, sold us out, it has forced all of us to evolve now, instead of on a planetary level, on an individual level. Where each one of us has to go inside, and we have to look at ourselves and say, who the hell am I? What am I doing with my life? Is this really what I want to do? Am I really happy with all this?
He was living inside some reptilians or something that were protecting him from the other ones. You got the tall redheads, you got the tall whites, you got the Watchers, the Nuwabians. Norm Bergman talked about 7 feet tall black aliens piloting alien spaceships, who created the rings of Saturn. And he was an actual veritable NASA scientist who wrote the book Rings of Saturn.
Okay, but if there are craft, there are beings.
Okay, people have asked me about, I call them vehicles, okay?
Right.
Now, I did not call them objects. That was too neuter for me.
Okay.
I had a Stanford professor said, you ought to call them objects, Norm. No. They have all of the qualities of a vehicle. They can move, they're just like a missile or anything like that. So that much we can say about them, for sure.
Okay,
So I'm calling it a vehicle.
okay.
Okay, somebody comes along and says, well, now where would you manufacture one that's 2.5 Earth lengths long? And that's a hard question to answer.
So are you not positing the idea that those vehicles contain, beings who are, maybe like us?
Yeah, I only go along with government images. And if you want to know about people kind of thing, there is the ship that picked up the Voyager capsule at Alameda Naval Shipyard, and they have a picture there of I think it's the Apollo flight that Buzz and Neil were on. But anyway, there is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off,
Not dark, black.
black skin,
Really black. Yeah.
were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
Well, what?
it's safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
Have you heard about Clark McClellan's statement about that?
No,
Oh, you haven't?
no,
Have you ever been in touch with him?
no.
No?
There is one image there that shows black people getting off.
So people with dark skin getting off,
Not dark, black.
black skin,
Really black. Yeah.
were they tall?
Yes.
Very tall?
Yeah.
How tall? Do you know?
Well, they got out the doorway. I don't know how high that is, but
Well, what?
it's safe. 7 feet would be probably a conservative estimate.
With that being said, the kids look weird, because it's a spirit in that body. So when the offspring come out, they don't look right. Got the daughter helping, that's about it. I'm being made to forget something else, but I'm going to try to remember it as best as I can. I had a lot of my consciousness poured out last night. The other night, I had Maria Tavares up here try to pull out my full consciousness and soul. I was told my whole soul would have came out, but I would have been repaired. I was playing 3002 hertz frequency, from what I understand, by condemnation of the demiurge, the Illuminati in that timeline. By Maria Blanco, I believe that's her. Wish I would have got her picture. I was told by Baron Samity and a couple others, get that motherfucker before shit gets worse, and it got worse. Some degree of entity. But anyways, with that being said, I know Terra Novera, Televeres, but I know it's Blanco. She stops in the tracks when I say Blanco. With that being said, I'm not even sure if I was playing 1 million, 1200 hertz combined with 1 million, as well as 1 million combined with 6,000 hertz. So I had some Mexicans say they saw Mexicans fucking with me in my timeline because of that entity and all this evil shit. People ain't really that bad. Actually, very humble, nice people, but lately racist towards my kind because of spiritual implications. With that being said, that can help build you quick. By the way, I was shown it by some Mexican female cops one night when I stupidly got drunk during this whole thing, and I should have been a lot more. Keep having shit move shit off my spirit body and everything. But with that being said, from what I understand, they're tasked with keeping me out that body. And from what I understand, Prince Andrew is my dad's higher self, along with the Rothschilds, the Windsors, Mary Amschel, they Rothschild. I almost want to say Adam Weishaupt. There's another family that I totally forgot, and I don't want to forget when I'm done. I heard in that timeline she saw the Kennedys when she was being prostituted out after. I was told that this article actually foreshadowed what was coming. That those were actually record execs that I was meeting that were disguised as people, cool dudes I knew in my old neighborhood, who were, low-key coming to tell my higher self, immediate higher self, that you're going to get soul swapped, you won't be in your body, and you're going to be fed on for other people's blessings. Like for them nigga bitches, I'm going to show you. I know they got their blessings from Elegua, and his real name is Elizondo Salazar, and I don't know if it's through Jehoshaphat. I heard it was a slave master named Mark or something. I'm not really sure, but I will drop dogs because I don't think it's right. They held that poor man, just like what's happening with me, Zendaya and all that shit in that timeline, stealing my spiritual powers and gifts. Have that man stuck in the living furniture hell realm where he ain't conscious. That's why when people get cursed by him, they ain't really him. I'm acting as him. They ain't like with Baron Samedi where he's autonomous. And he agreed to it. He was a sacrifice for somebody else to come up off his spiritual powers. And with that being said, there's a reason why he appears, belching and all of that. That's entity attachments being created of that person. I heard that one day when I was being told I'm being pulled into Maria Blanco's timeline, Hell Realm. And, Terra Nevera's timeline. That's why I'm nipping this shit in the butt. And I'm, putting videos out there to keep that shit from happening. And I've seen her, take my soul consciousness, create entity attachments. I got to get rid of this wetback bitch. She got to get dispatched physically, or especially going back to that May 1st, 2024 timeline. But anyways, I'm going to say something right now. I'm pissed off with what happened to me and my family. I was content living on the PCH, being who I am, being free to be me, living out my van. If I got famous for being me, that's beautiful, but I never was a chaser of money. I never cared about money. It's what happened to my parents and my family. I had a dream one night. I think either Satan himself or somebody very powerful put him back along with one of them roach spirits at one point. I had a nightmare, astral vision one night where my brother, it was very vivid, Kristen here,